Thank you for forgiving our sins, even for the sins we do not realize we commit. Lord, please fill us with your wisdom and your compassion for others. May you bless us with your never-ending love. Amen.
Amen.
So we want to thank you, Gwinnett, for that prayer. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for attending this very important event and using your voices to better our community. My name is Danica Davis. I am a junior and I attend SIUE Charter High School. This is...
Good evening as well. My name is Jeremy Avon and I attend East St. Louis Senior High School and I'm with the organization Love, Leaving Our Voices Everywhere. Before we continue, I want to go over the house rules. So I'd like to call up Pastor Horton to begin.
We welcome you all into Macedonia. Just very quickly, just remember that you are in a sanctuary, so we ask you to address yourself accordingly. Other than that, we ask you to come in and just share your views with everyone. Amen?
We want to highlight that this is not a debate where they are battling each other out. This is a chance to get your questions answered, as well as put faces on the names on the sign and billboards. So, please everyone be respectful of each other.
We want to ensure a positive atmosphere so that there may be answers you do not like, but we are not here to attack the candidates. So we do not want any back and forth amongst the audience as we progress through the night.
The questions that will be asked are gathered from canvassing that we have done these past 2 weeks throughout the city. So all of the questions are from your constituents.
Because the mayors had their own prior day last week, we will give time to other people, part of their team, to answer questions for themselves. But we will let the mayor introduce their team.
Lastly, we invited all the candidates running. So thank you to those who came. Thank you to those who value their community. With that being said, we do have a number of candidates to get through tonight. So the yellow sign means you have 15 seconds left. The red sign means stop. After that, we move on to the next person so we can end on time.
We want to say thank you again for coming, and we will begin with the mayors and the mayor candidate introduction. So Mayor Easton, you have 1 minute to introduce yourself. Sorry, and your ticket.
Good afternoon, good evening. So I'm so happy to be here. As he said, I am Mayor Robert Houston III of the City of Champions, and I'm happy to be here and humbled to be here and so proud that our youth decided to put on this forum to show and express their appreciation and so express that they're sincerity about the city and the direction that it's moving in. So give them a round of applause. And with me today, I'm so happy to have Takesha Wren, who's running for councilwoman. Councilman Tommy Dancy, who's not in attendance because he is feeling very ill, so we want to send out a prayer for him as well. My school board members, I have Ms. Yvette Turman, Ms. Brenda Akoff O'Neill, and Ms. Mosley may be arriving shortly. Pray for her as well. Her son had a procedure done, so we want to make sure we give her, send out a prayer for her. And Mr. James Ross is running for Park District. Thank you.
Mrs. Franklin, you will now have 1 minute to introduce yourself and your candidate.
Thank you so much. We are so blessed to be here today. We are excited that these young people are putting on this forum. So I want to introduce you to Team Franklin. My name is Marie Franklin, and I am running for mayor of East St. Louis. We have Mr. Lorenzo Savage, who will be running for councilperson. Mr. Paris Grimmett running for councilperson. And our school board members will be Jen Chike running for school board and Kiana Grimmett running for school board. We are just blessed to be be here. We are ready and willing to be servant leaders here in this community, and we are ready to come in hot and get things going, because we know that things need to be moving around here, and we don't have time to wait.
So we want to thank you guys again for being in attendance, and we will now get started.
I'd like to hand it over to the questions team.
We will start with the councilman and
Thank you. We will start with the councilman and woman. We will have one member of your team to go first, and then the other will follow behind. Then proceed to the next team. Let's begin. Starting with Councilwoman Wren, you have 1 minute to answer. Why should you be elected for this position?
Okay. Well, I feel that I should be elected for this position because I am a person that can be trusted, and I can be held accountable for my actions, as well as holding others accountable for their actions as well, as far as the city goes. I don't want to be a part of any team that's not held accountable for their actions. If they can't produce, then we don't need them there. I'm here for progress. I'm not here to make any promises, only progress. That's my goal. I'm not here to try to bribe anybody or let anybody bribe me. I wasn't raised like that. Born and raised in the city of East St. Louis, and I love my city, and I just want something better for the city. So I think that's why I think that I'm a good candidate.
Thank you, Councilwoman Wren. Mr. Grimmett?
You say it right. Thank you for that question, young lady. Let me say you are the future of East St. Louis. What makes me qualified and why am I running? Well, I'm born and raised in East St. Louis. In 2016, I became a first-generation college graduate, earning a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice. I went on to earn a Master's in Business Administration and a Master's of Arts in Teaching, all of which I am extremely proud of. But folks, degrees are one thing and experiences are another. We need both qualified and experienced leaders in office. I will bring experience. I have experience in bringing together resources. I will bring the art of collaboration to City Hall. In 2021, my wife and I started an organization in East St. Louis that focuses on bringing business education and financial literacy services to youth in grades 6 through 12. And once I get into office, I will implement those programs on a much larger scale. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimmett.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Savage?
Thank you so much, and thank you for everyone for taking time out tonight. You know, as a city council member, I would use my experience as a project architect first off, and working on many development projects throughout the country to bring development back to our city. It's been way too long. Our downtown is a mess. I mean, that's our front porch, and that's one of our first priorities is to develop our downtown. And you have to know that we are still a part of the Mid-American Medical District that has been developed outside of our city and in spite of our city. And we'll talk more on that a little later. But, like I say, my experience is improving. As an architect, I've worked on major projects, one of which is the Casino Queen, a $92 million project, the first of its kind, voted the mold. So I'm bringing experience. I can bring developments to the city, and I look forward to working with you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Savage. Really quick, we are streaming this event on Facebook Live on United Congregations of Metro East, so share it with your friends. Next question, starting with Mr. Savage. You have 2 minutes to answer. What is your vision for the future of East St. Louis, and what are your top priorities for the city?
Wow, you know, as an architect, you know, that's part of my job is to provide a vision for the clients that we have. And you know, the big thing is, we have to develop our downtown again. Like I said, we have to get our downtown in order. We have to encourage people to move back to the city. So we're going to have to create new opportunities for that. We have the highest taxes in this area. You know, our school board, and I'll let my team talk about it, but our school board only takes about $12 million of $120 million in their budget from us. We can cut that in half, and then we can give a tax break to our businesses and our citizens. They need it. They've been looking for it, and that's our job, is to provide those kind of opportunities for them. And I'm going to work hard from day one. You know, in there, and I'm going to bring developers to the city. The company I work for, we are doing this STL Foundry, which is one of the biggest projects that's happened in St. Louis in the last 20 years. And they're excited. They hired me over there, but they see a lot of opportunity here in the city. And I've developed plans for the Majestic Theater. I've developed plans for downtown East St. Louis. I've been trying to bring developers from San Diego to the city. I think with my having a position in City Hall would definitely help us get those things pushed through. So thank you so much for that question.
Thank you, Mr. Savage. Mr. Grimmett?
Could you ask the question again, Stuart?
Yes. What is your vision for the future of East St. Louis, and what are your top priorities for the city?
My vision is that we will pour resources into you all. That's my vision. That we will pour resources and time and money into our youth. Listen, y'all, if we don't empower our youth, we are lost. So my focus, once we get in City Hall, is to make sure that we're focusing on development and empowerment of the youth. I grew up in East St. Louis, right? And anybody who grew up in East St. Louis knows one thing for sure, it's really easy to stray. It's really easy to stray. They like to talk about our black and brown babies, right? Because our black and brown babies do this and that, but if they had the resources, maybe they would. Let me give you an example, right? My wife and I was a part of a carjacking. A young man stole our vehicle, and at first I was angry, I was upset. I blamed the young man, but then I started thinking, I was like, what if that young man had resources to go and make money the legitimate way? Or what if that young man had something to keep his mind and his attention to where he's not stealing vehicles, or selling dope, or running in houses? Look, the thing here, y'all, my vision is to have the same vision as the youth, right? The same vision that they have, and their vision is cloudy. Their vision is dark, because we're in East St. Louis, and there's nobody picking them up and grabbing them and telling them, you can do whatever you want to do in this world. That's what I'm going to do. That's what this team is going to do. So when we talk about vision, my vision is empowerment of the youth, specifically through business education and financial literacy. Because the only way to level the playing field in East St. Louis is for us to get financially literate and for us to provide business education services to our youth.
Thank you, Mr. Grimmett. Councilwoman Wren? You want me to repeat the question?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wren, you have 2 minutes to answer. What is your vision for the future of East St. Louis, and what are your top priorities for the city?
Okay, excuse me. My vision for East St. Louis is, I hate to really piggyback off of Mr. Savage, but I as well feel that a downtown does need to be developed down there. You go to other cities and you see they have beautiful downtowns. It's everything that they can do. People come in and they get to visit different places when they go to St. Louis downtown, and they get to see different things. That's my vision as well for the city. As far as the youth go, I've worked in the district. I've been in the district for 24 plus years. My children are a product of the district. I'm a product of the district. I too have a 19-year-old son that I pray for every time he leaves out the house, that nothing happens to him. It is dangerous out here. The kids do need something to do. Kids do need to have after-school programs, recreation centers, somewhere where they can go and spend all that energy that they have, put it in doing something more, what am I trying to say, more constructive. And that's my vision, and I feel like jobs can be developed, but you have to have the resources in order to get jobs in East St. Louis. It's no way you can go into a position as a council and say, tomorrow we're going to have a White Castle down here, tomorrow we're going to have a Burger King down here, and you guys come and we're going to have an open house and come and get a job. Everything takes time, but I do feel that our youth are our future. My children are my future. I'm in the district every day and I see it. So I know how it goes as far as trying to keep kids out of trouble and signing papers for kids to go to juvenile detention when this is a kid that you dealt with for over the years and you have taken them and put them under your arm. So I know that.
Thank you, Councilwoman Brand. Once again, we are streaming this event on Facebook Live on the United Congregation of the Metro East. Please feel free to share with friends and family. Now, starting with Councilwoman Brand, you have 2 minutes to answer. How do you plan to bring more resources to people with no jobs and those with less?
First off, you will have to build a relationship with people and companies, different agencies, in order to get those resources into the city to help. It's not going to be an easy challenge. It's not going to be an easy job. So you will have to really research to get agencies out here to help you guys, the youth, even the adults. Everybody needs help, but you have to find the resources in order to get that. So that's my plan, to find resources to help the youth and adults to find different jobs and bring different agencies and development into the city.
Thank you, Councilwoman Wren. Mr. Grimmin.
Could you repeat it for me one more time?
How do you plan to bring more resources to help people with no jobs and those with less?
So I would agree with her. It's all about partnerships and collaboration. I would go a little bit further and say that evidence of creating those partnerships and collaboration is super important. Again, as I mentioned, in 2021, my wife and I founded a nonprofit organization focused on bringing business education and financial literacy to the youth. I had to create partnerships with colleges and universities. I had to make partnerships with public and private schools. I had to make partnerships with banking institutions and other nonprofits. This is something that if you look up Paris Agreement, you can Google it and fact check yourself. I'm not telling you what I want to do. I'm telling you what evidence points to me doing already. And I mean no offense and no disrespect, but this is nonsense. I can look here, see what I've done, and I will bring that to City Hall on a much larger scale. I did that with very little financial support. So imagine what I can do with city resources.
Thank you, Mr. Grimmin. Mr. Savage, how do you plan to bring more resources to people with no jobs and those with less?
Thank you for that question, young lady. You know, my wife and I moved back to East St. Louis in 2014, and we started I Am in St. Louis, the foundation. We print a publication, a magazine, and I hope you guys are future writers and photographers of the magazine. And we highlight the champions in our city. We've done it for 6 years. And we're talking about champions in all fields of endeavor, okay? So we've got the resources. We have the people. We have the resources. We have companies like Ameren that are building solar farms in our community. And we need to, get a little more out of the partnership than we've been getting. Because I'm on the planning commission of East St. Louis, and unfortunately, the first solar farm didn't come to the planning commission. And there are procedures that were supposed to happen And I just feel like our position on the planning commission, we've been disrespected, me as an architect, and we have other people on there who are engineers. So, you know, we got to bring the resources with jobs. We got to work closer with SIU Evansville. We have a campus right in our downtown area that is prime to bring in more students. CEJA is the Clean Energies Act, just got passed. Ms. Franklin worked on that, big props to you on that. And I know that Macedonia, I think, and a couple other partners here, UCM, are partnering on that. $20 million a year. Now, we got to see where that money goes. That money should go to the students, to train them to do the jobs that Emory is putting in our community. So I'm going to work with the colleges, I'm going to work with SWIC. I was a teacher at SWIC, and I taught construction there, and I will continue to expand that program because we got to have our young people ready for that, ready for those jobs that are out there now. Those jobs are in demand, and we're the team to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Savage. Okay, next question now, starting with Mr. Grimmin. You have 2 minutes to answer. What are your plans to bring more opportunities for young people in the community?
I love that question. Thank you for doing it. Again, I like to point to evidence. Last summer, the summer of 2022, we launched a program called Great Business Academy. Through that program, youth in the city were able to learn about marketing, budgeting, economics, financial literacy, and specifically entrepreneurship and innovation. Throughout this program, youth were able to make thousands of dollars. Again, this is evidence-based. All you have to do is look my name up and research it. Okay? And I'm going to do that for all the youth in our city. I'm going to implement those same programs on a much larger scale. Listen, if you show a youth, average youth in St. Louis, how to make $1,000, I'm going to give you a secret real quick. I'm going to give you the key. Everybody in this room. If you give a youth the way to make $1,000 in one day, I promise you crime will go down. And if there's a question about crime, you already have my answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimmin. Mr. Savage, you still have 2 minutes to answer. What are your plans to bring more opportunities for young people in the community?
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, again, you know, working with the colleges in the community and getting grassroots, getting out there in the neighborhoods and really identifying our youth. We've been working with the youth. We've been out every weekend talking with the residents and getting their feedback. And we've been talking with the young people too, because your opinion are just as important as yours. You're learning a very valuable lesson here. And we want you to, like me and my wife always say, learn, earn, return. Now, a lot of times we didn't have that opportunity. You know, a lot of us went off to college and then we didn't have an opportunity to come back to our city to create our career here because there was no economy here, you know. So again, what we're going to do is create an environment for growth. So we have to cut taxes. I know that sounds like a Republican, but you know, honestly, you know, all poor communities, you see our tax percentage is 12%, you know, and in Belleville or Fallon is 6-7% of, you know, so, and again, like I said, we can cut that in half and not impact the school budget that much. They need to do some belt tightening and you know, $120 million, we can find another $4 million somewhere else and cut my taxes in half. I came back, bought a house, bought a couple of houses, renovated them and you know, sold them. And then also have commercial property. I have a corner store that I wanted to have for young people in the community so they don't have to go to the liquor stores. And so we're gonna work with you. We're gonna create a youth council that we want you guys to be in City Hall and giving us your opinion because we don't want you to move away. We want you to go, learn, earn, return, come back, and build your city, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Savage. Councilwoman Wren, you have 2 minutes to answer. What are your plans to bring more opportunities for young people in the community?
I'm sorry. Well, as an employee for the district, I work with youth already. So like now it's a little bit late because we do have after school programs that We work with the young ladies as far as trying to help them be, when they're progressing to transitioning, into high school, to become better young ladies, to perform and act as young ladies. A lot of our kids that I see that are in the district and in the schools, most of them are raising themselves. And they really do have a hardship. So my thing is, I have a soft heart for children because I've been doing it for so long, and I do love them. So my thing is for them to be able to go to after-school programs, get us another Jackie Joyner's Kersey Center. We should have more than one center for our kids to go to. Mary Brown Center, yeah, it's open, but the kids need more than that. They need hands-on training. All kids are not college-bound. We need a kid that does trading. We have a lot of kids that has a good trade. They do hair, they do makeup, things like that. And we need more resources like that for you guys, for the youth. A lot of you guys do not want to go to college. And college is not for everybody. Young men that are out here, they can make, change oil, change brakes. They have a trade, welding, construction, things like that. So we need more things like that for our youth. They specialize in different areas. Some are better in books, other kids are better at doing hair. So they just need different options to me. They shouldn't just be given one option.
Thank you, Councilwoman Wren. We would like to say if anyone has questions, we are passing out index cards. Hold them up when you are done and we will collect them. Now, starting with Councilwoman Wren, again, you have 2 minutes to answer. How do you plan to distribute money into fixing the roads and improving housing?
Well, first, we would have to see what the current plan is that the city already has in place. To me, then I would focus on the streets that need the most improvement. Some of the streets have been updated, some have not been updated. Also, it takes about roughly for, let's say, the sewer structures, $1.2 million to be repaired. Also, the roadway is looking at about $7.8 billion, and that was like roughly a couple of years ago, so I'm sure that it has risen now. As far as housing goes, I myself would check with the present developers that we already have, such as Lansdowne Up, they're developing in a neighborhood. Mount Sinai is in their third phase of development. The Broadview Hotel is coming. So first I would start with the developers that we already have to see if they're still interested in developing more into the city. So that's where I would start with them. I would start with them first.
Thank you, Councilwoman Wren. Mr. Grimmett, how do you plan to distribute money into fixing the roads and improving housing?
That's an excellent question. Now, I think, as a matter of fact, I know at the root of that question is this notion of being a good steward of finances. Because our roads didn't get that way overnight, right? There should have been a plan in place to fix the roads every so many years. Obviously, that wasn't happening because somebody dropped the ball. Now, whether it was because of mishandling of finances or just not being a good steward of financing, something went wrong. So when we get in office, when Team Franklin get in office, we're going to create a plan, a comprehensive plan. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I know something I don't. That's what makes me different. Once I get in there, I'm going to find out what the issue is, we'll find out how many resources we have to go towards roads, and I'm going to put those resources into that project. You all, a lot of this stuff is common sense. The leaders before us have failed us. East St. Louis. Everybody in this room who is from East St. Louis, if you're supporting somebody who has been in office previously, you're supporting somebody who failed our city. Team Franklin, we are new faces. We are not career politicians or family politicians. I say it proudly. We are going to bring fresh ideas. We are going to bring qualified candidates. We are going to do what makes sense in every situation. Every decision is going to be backed by integrity and good character. We are going to do the right thing when no one is watching. We are going to pour resources into the things that need to be built up and repaired when no one is watching. Bottom line, you have to have somebody in office who is both qualified and experienced. So that one, you can tackle the issue, and number two, you're equipped to tackle the issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimmett. Mr. Savage, how do you plan to distribute money into fixing the roads and improving housing?
Thank you. You know, we have just gotten, I think, about $38 million in CARES Act money. And I believe some of that funding can be used for the roads and our infrastructure. You know, we'll have to look exactly what can be done there. But I tell you what, you know, we have to be more creative in how we're spending money. We should be leveraging that money and to bring in new developers in and say, hey, we want you to do it. You know, we don't want to have to spend all of our money and not get the results that we want. So we need to leverage the fund, the remaining $20 million, I think was said is left. And then again, like you said, when you talk about transparency, you know, we're going to have, you know, constant meetings with the community. You got to know where your money is being spent, where my money is being spent, you know. And again, we're looking at a city where all of our tax dollars is going right out of the city. How many people in here live in St. Louis? You know, we're in the church now. How many people here live in the city? So that's probably a quarter of the people here that live in the city. And I wish we had more residents here. And I've always encouraged people to move back to the city. And teachers get mad at me when I say, you know, we don't have the housing. And my kids, well, you teaching here, your kids don't go to school here, something's wrong, you know, okay? Now, again, when I was growing up, the teachers lived here. You know, my math teacher, my calculus teacher, Mr. Colby, used to give me a ride home when I didn't have bus fare. Miss Lewis, Benny Lewis' wife, used to give us a ride to school when we went to Lucas. That's what we call a village. And we have to get that village back. We have to have our money spent here. Like you said, we're not going to get restaurants and all those things and have money turn it over if we don't have the residents here. So we need our money to be staying in here. I'm talking about City Hall, school district, all of it. We'll build the housing to bring you here. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Savage. We'd like to state once again, we do not want this to be a debate, so please respect one another. All right. This is a question from a youth, starting from Councilwoman Wren. What is your plan for the drug epidemic in East St. Louis, vaping sold in neighborhood stores to youth, and educating families in this manner?
Me personally, wait a minute, repeat that baby before I ask this question.
What is your plan for the drug epidemic in East St. Louis, vaping sold in neighborhood stores to youth, and educating families on this matter?
Okay, so that's a big problem. I can say, so far, to my knowledge, from where I live in the South End, grew up in the South End, and still a resident of the South End. Our area has gotten a lot better as far as if you close down some of these stores that's out here, keep the guys from hanging out on the corner. You can do that, and we need that with the police help. The store that's right here that used to be across the street from Lincoln Middle School, that store was a nuisance, and I will say that. It was horrible. We complained every day, we called, we got the resources from the police. They would come every day, they would sit out there to make sure the students got into their cars safely. The students that were walking home, they made sure that they got home safely. We got the store closed down, and I appreciate the mayor and the police for their help with that. As far as trying to help families and get them on better resources, I am also a member of the PTO at my school. So we offer those resources. We did just have an expungement for people who had things, trying to get their records straight. Sorry. The PTO at my building, we offer classes for parents to come in to do their computer classes. We help them find jobs as well at Lincoln Middle School. We also offer a cooking class for some of the parents. The PTO, we do all of that. So we encourage all of our parents to come out. We have dads and donuts. We have all of that kind of things to encourage the parents to get more involved with their students. That's the problem. The parents have to want to get involved with the students, and that's what we do.
Councilwoman Wren. All right, now Mr. Grimmett, you have 2 minutes to answer. What is your plan for the drug epidemic in East St. Louis, vaping sold in neighborhood stores to youth, and educating families on this matter?
Well, number one, if a store, a corner store, or one of these gas stations are caught selling a vape to a minor, that business needs to be shut down completely, and that's a non-negotiable. Number one. Second thing, going back to the programming, y'all, and the creation of programs for youth, right? If we create mentorship programs to empower and develop young black youth in our city, there's less time for them to stray away. Understand that a lot of my friends, a lot of the people I grew up with, would still be here if they had a mentor. A lot of my friends, and even cousins that I grew up with, would still be here if somebody snatched them up and showed them how to make money legitimately. A lot of my friends would still be here and not OD'd on drugs if somebody snatched them up and actually talked to them. Not for photo optics, but when no one is watching. Doing it because it's the good thing to do. So, just to round this off, y'all, when I get in office, I'm going to bring programs that benefit you, the youth. A lot of people in St. Louis, their time is past. It's your time, and I'm going to focus on you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimmett. Mr. Savage, you have 2 minutes to answer. What is your plan for the drug epidemic in East St. Louis, vape sold in neighborhood stores to youth, and educating families in this matter?
Thank you for that question. And we have a serious problem in our city, folks. When I have to go to a liquor store for anything, in my community, and they're in there smoking weed, smelling like weed, smoking cigarettes. They shouldn't be smoking in the store. They're disrespecting the patrons. Now, I'm not going to say who the owners are, but I remember back in the day, there was a family that owned most of the convenience stores in the community, and we had, a little more respect for our people. So what we have to do is create new opportunities for you all. The past police chief who I worked with, and he was trying, I was trying to get him to start a Young Explorers program, so we can get our young men and women involved in law enforcement at an early age. My nephew got an opportunity to do that, and he's a sheriff's deputy right now, about 25 years in the end. So we have to really, like I said, no more liquor license, okay? I think we have enough liquor stores. We should have a moratorium on liquor license, I don't know who, there's a liquor commissioner, and then there's a deputy liquor commissioner. But we have to police these stores more. A lot of them, like I said, I go in because I have a lot of places to go. And a lot of them have lost their, right to sell EBT. Now, why do you think that is? Because they're selling it illegal, they were doing illegal things with it. So we have to really police these items and create opportunities for all, other people to have businesses in the city and not just, leave it to certain crowds to be able to monopolize something that everybody needs in the community. Okay? And I'm talking about the youth. We're going to work with you guys, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Savage. Now we have another question from the youth. Mr. Grimmett, what are your plans about dumping in old houses needing demolition? You have 2 minutes to answer.
Can you say it one more time, Stuart?
What are your plans about dumping in old houses needing demolition?
Well, why are those houses there, number one? I'm sorry, y'all. My dad taught me about common sense, right? Why would a house that's burned down still be standing there? Do you know how that affect the people who live in this city? Do you know how that affect the way we view our city? Look, that question, I like that question. Because guys are going to turn around in our favor. Check this out. How about tearing down houses and making our community look like the beautiful people that's in it? How about putting some focus in property value and the impact that has on the resources that our kids receive in their public school system? Wow. Am I going too far? How about we come up with a plan to where when the house gets burnt up or when it's no longer livable, we create a plan to tear those houses down. Dumping is wrong. City beautification is something that Team Franklin stands on. City beautification is the first step in getting businesses here. It's the first step in bringing citizens back to our city. So don't think that I'm trying to overshadow the dumping issue. I'm here, sir. I'm just saying, for the burnt up houses, for the vacant houses that young people use as bendos to sell dope, how about tearing them down? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimmett. Mr. Savage, what are your plans about dumping in old houses needing demolition?
Yeah, great question, because I remember growing up on 83rd Street, we had a house next to our house, and it was burned down. And one Saturday, my mother, she just complained until finally, the city came and tore the house down, and we put a garden on that lot. Well, we started, and this was the garden back in 1985. My mother was a little bit ahead of her time, and I'm healthy for it. And I tell you the truth, when we started out in St. Louis, the foundation, 3 things we did: beautification, we do the magazine, and then we uplift the youth. Those are the things that we want to do. And if you've seen me out on all these cleanup projects, I've worked with Zach Chike, a young man whose wife is running for school board with us, and of course J.D. Dixon, who's been out in the community doing work. These people know me. So if you ask who's out there cleaning up the community, I'm one of the people that's been doing it as well. So that's what we're going to do. And there's ways to creating an app where the people who are that work for the city can just put in the address, and then you can create a map, and then come up with a plan. You have to have a plan before you can execute. Just like with architecture. You don't want to go start building a beautiful sanctuary like this without plans. You can ask the pastor. I'm sure he's got a full booklet of drawings and specifications that go with putting this beautiful sanctuary together. So we have to, like I said, we can create an app. We can have an app that will identify those properties and then put together an execution plan to tear them down. Because as Mr. Grimmett said, we can't have burned out houses in our city. I ride down State Street every day, going to work. I ride through the city, everybody see me, my neighbors, everybody know me in East St. Louis. And I'm just, frustrated with the way things have just fallen by the wayside. It comes from people not living here and dumping on our streets.
Thank you, Mr. Savage. Councilwoman Wren, what are your plans about dumping in old houses needing demolition?
Well, to me, I agree with them. I hate to see how the city, I hate the way the city looks myself with the burned down houses, kids having to walk to school, high grass, vacant houses around. That bothers me as well. But to me, that's where code enforcement comes in at. I feel that personally we should be able to get a grant to get cameras to put out where all the bad dumping is, the real bad dumping areas are. Those areas are out Marybelle, a little bit in South End, and we put cameras out there and find out who's dumping and trace it and trace those license plates, find those guys, give them a ticket, arrest them. Now my thing as far as the housing goes, if you give a person a ticket and say you ticket a person that owns property, what is the outcome with that? They come to court. We have to do something different instead of just coming to court. They need more, what am I trying to say? It needs to be a little bit more. They need to be dealt with differently. A ticket is just not enough to me because they get the ticket. Sometimes they may not show up for court. The house is still standing. Grass is still high. They need to be hit with bigger fines. When you find out who it is that owns these properties, they need to be hit with bigger fines. That's just my take on how these houses are that needs to be torn down. Code enforcement needs to do a little bit better at making sure that they do better follow-ups on the tickets.
Thank you, Councilwoman Wren. Again, starting from Councilwoman Wren, you have 2 minutes to answer this question. What will be your plan of action in the first 20 days?
My plan of action in the first 20 days, that's a good question for real. First, I need to get in to see what the prior administration had in place. If I don't agree with what they had in place, I'm sure that whoever the mayor is, which hopefully will be Robert Easton, I'm sure will be Robert Easton III, we're going to sit and I'm not a yes person, so that's number one. I'm not going to agree with everything that I feel is not right. If I'm not agreeing with you telling me that we need to give Sammy Joe this contract and the contract is only worth $10,000 and he wants $30,000, that's not going to work for me. I'm not that kind of person. I love my city for one. The thing, you guys are saying the same thing and I agree totally with you. We have been doing this forever, giving people contracts that's not coming through for the city. I totally agree with that. It's no reason why our city looks the way it looks. I agree with what you guys are saying. No disrespect, none of that. Me, I want to sit down and see what it is that we need to do to make this city look better. We need lights. We need a grocery store. We need a hospital. We shouldn't have to go to Centerville or school. I agree with you. We need all of what you're saying. We need all of those resources in our city. It's no reason why we should not have that. We shouldn't have to cross the bridge to get something nice to eat. We should be able to have a restaurant in our city. It saddens me that we don't. And me personally, that's what I want to do. I want to sit down, put everything on the table. What do we need to do to make East St. Louis better? I'm not for money. I don't care about it.
Thank you, Councilwoman Wren. Mr. Grimmett, you have 2 minutes to answer. What will be your plan of action in the first 20 days?
So first of all, in the spirit of good sportsmanship, thank you for saying that. You're absolutely correct. It's a shame that our city is the way that it is. I'm going to sound like a broken record to y'all because I believe it so much. Financial literacy and business education is the way that we level the playing field in East St. Louis. The fact that East St. Louis is a great city with a majority of African American men and women and children is one characteristic of East St. Louis. The other characteristic is that we're financially illiterate. We buy cell phones and don't pay for them. We sign leases and break them. We make poor financial decisions. So when I come into office, the first thing I'm going to do is start a program centered on financial literacy in the city. And I'm going to empower our youth so that they feel encouraged and they feel like they have the tools and resources to be successful. On a bigger scale, as far as Team Franklin, Marie Franklin, my fearless leader.
Yes.
Our plan is to clean up, bring in development, and support the youth. Clean up, bring in development, and support the youth. That's what we're going to do. Y'all, I'm not here to sound like a genius. Born and raised in East St. Louis, I come from the mud. Understand me, young black man. I know some of the situations and circumstances that you went through. I went through. And that's every young black man and woman in this room. So the fact that I understand you and I can relate to you, that's going to be a great service to you once I'm in office. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimmett. Now, Mr. Savage, you have 2 minutes to answer. What will be your plan of action in the first 20 days?
Thank you. Well, within the first 20 days, I feel we have to get out in the community and thank the citizens for putting us in office and giving us this great responsibility. So I believe those days are going to be used in going out in the community and making contact with the neighborhood associations, bringing them in to give them power, and of course we're going to have to review all contracts, things that have been going on. We hope that there will be a good turnover. You know, that's what usually happens when you change, someone change jobs or something. So we would get the turnover that we need of the documents, and of course, again, the different contracts and things that are going on now. And of course, the CARES Act money, we have to wrap our heads around that and try to accelerate what's going on there, because there's a time limit on those dollars, and we want to make sure that we use them in the right way. And I totally agree that we need a hospital in our community. Again, I spoke a little bit about the Mid-America Medical District. There was a law passed in 2007, 2008, where the downtown East St. Louis was supposed to be the area of the Mid-America Medical District. The legislation was passed at the state, and there was a big plan down here in the city. Some people were on that committee, I don't know who all on it. And they passed the laws, and guess what happened, folks? They expanded the area of the Mid-America Medical District. This was Governor Quinn, and I'm not sure who was the council and who was the mayor at that time. I am sure who it was. But the problem is they let them expand the area without getting any quid pro quo. When I say quid pro quo, that means, what do we get out of it? I look at Green Mile Road, there's hundreds of millions of dollars of development supposed to be in downtown in St. Louis. We're still in the Mid-America Medical District. We're gonna get our downtown done. That's a part of it.
Thank you, Mr. Savage. This will be our last question. Councilwoman Wren, you have 2 minutes to answer. What can you do to bring a healthcare facility to East St. Louis?
We most definitely need what you just said, and I said that before. We do need healthcare, a hospital, all of that. Again, me, myself, I've already spoken with the mayor in regards to asking him about people that write grants. We need to get real people in the office that could help us get those resources that we need in order to get medical assistance in the city. Southern Illinois Healthcare, they're adding on, they're doing a little bit better, but we do need more than that in the city. It's no doubt about that. The babies need pediatricians in East St. Louis. We have to take our babies to Belleville. We have to take our babies to St. Louis. We should be able to take our babies to a better medical facility. We shouldn't have to go travel outside of East St. Louis for everything that we need. So my thing is to get with someone that can help me do. First off, I'm gonna tell you, I'm not a genius, and I'm not gonna sit here and say that I am. I'm willing to work with anyone that can help me do whatever it is that we need to do to make East St. Louis better. So I'm not gonna say, I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna say that I'm not gonna make any promises to nobody in this building. That's what's wrong now. All the promises that were made, they were broken. I'm not making any promises. All I'm gonna tell you is I'm trying to progress. I'm here for progression, that's it. I'm here for help, I'm here to help, and I want anyone to help me where what I need to be helped at. And so with that being said, whatever I need to do, whoever I need to reach out to get that help, to get the medical resources we need in East St. Louis, that's what I'm going to do. I have no problem with asking for help. That's my plan. I'm asking for help, because I can't do it by myself. This is not a one-man show. It's not. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Wren. Mr. Grimmett, what can you do to bring a healthcare facility to East St. Louis?
That's an excellent question, and I'm so glad that you asked it. City Hall is a business, okay? Good business requires creating partnerships. It requires being willing to collaborate. It requires being innovative, right? For those of you who don't know, innovation is doing the same thing differently, right? So when we come and we are trying to make a change in our city, we are going to do that through good business practice, through collaboration, through partnerships. That's how we're going to get it done. As I told you all, in 2016, I became a first-generation college graduate, which I am very proud of. I earned my master's in business administration. So when I talk to you about business, I'm not just spewing out fun words. I am an expert in business education. I am an expert in conducting business. I am an expert in bringing resources to the table. And that's what I'm going to do in the city. As far as the hospital goes, we have to get partners who are willing to collaborate in bringing a hospital here. That's a tall task. And again, I would never lie to my people and get up here and act like I know the answer to something I don't. But what I know for certain is that in order to get a hospital in the great city of East St. Louis, it's going to require solid partnerships, and it's going to require relentless collaboration. That I know for sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grimmett. Mr. Savage, what can you do to bring a healthcare facility to East St. Louis?
Well, we know, like you had mentioned, that there's some development going on 20th Street where they're adding on to the existing medical center, some urgent care center. And I don't know, it looks like it's a little bit too close to the curb. I don't know if it meets all the regulations, but that's the architect can be sorry. But again, like I said, we're in the Mid-America Medical District. The Mid-America Medical District was created for development to happen in East St. Louis, and it happened at Greenmount Road. I had a house in Belleville, and I used to get off the highway every day, get off at Greenmount Road. You know what was up there in 2001? Pine trees and cornfields. Everybody know Greenmount Road is? Yeah. Right? They shut down Family Heights right now. Why? Because that's our development, folks. And again, that's why I say you gotta have leaders that's gonna fight for you. When somebody comes to you and say, hey, we want to expand the area because developers don't want to work in your city. Well, they're just not using just their money. They're using federal and state funds that off our backs. Look at the legislation. Google it. You can look at the legislation. It says downtown East St. Louis. It don't say nothing about O'Fallon or anything else. But when the area was expanded, I would have been like, hey, where we gonna get it? I need my downtown fixed up. All these developers and all these businesses that are going up there, they can invest in our community. We need a different way of doing things. We need to demand these businesses do that, especially when the Mid-American District was created here in East St. Louis. So we're gonna, a guy used to tell me a squeaky wheel gets the oil. I'm gonna be squeaking to the county, to the governor, to whoever else who controls the purse strings of the Mid-American Medical District funding, and say, look, we need $60 million, I don't know, and let's get our downtown together. Look, we need to demand that.
Thank you, Mr. Savage, and thank you all for your participation. We will now transition to our school board. Thank you. The same rules still apply. Let's begin. Starting with Ms. Akoff Odell, you have 1 minute to answer. Why should you be elected to the Board of Education?
Amen. You all have to excuse me for saying amen. I'm accustomed to that. First off, I am a resident of District 189. I actually live in District 189. I'm a concerned citizen. I have a vested interest in the education of our young people. I know that education is the future, and our young people are our future. And if we don't educate our young people, then we will lose a generation of people. I have much to offer. I bring much to the table. I bring honesty, integrity, transparency, commitment, and a love for our children, and a will that they should succeed in life. I have a desire that we should empower our children, and we empower our children through educating our children.
Thank you, Ms. Akoff Odell. Ms. Mosley?
Good evening. I should be chosen as a board member because I'm a longtime resident of East St. Louis. I invested in the community. I've also attended the school district. I also have 2 children, the ages of 8 and 5, that attend the school district. So I'm an avid part of their education. I can firsthand attest to the issues that's going on within our educational system that I want to be hands-on with, because I want the best for my children, our children. I want to be able to bring on a more healthy environment that's conducive for a safer environment for learning and growth for our children. I want to be a voice for our children. I have a passion for kids. So that's why I feel like you guys should rally alongside me and choose me to be a school board member. All right.
Thank you, Ms. Mosley. Ms. Turman, why should you be elected to the Board of Education?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Debate3, and I am a resident of East St. Louis. I was raised here in East St. Louis. I attended District 189 along with family members, siblings. We all graduated from the School District 189. School District 189 has so many success stories, and I happen to be one. I am the proud owner of a thriving floral shop here in the great city of East St. Louis. Thank you, God. I am a mother. I am loyal. I walk in character and in integrity. I feel that I would be best qualified because I am a mother and I want to see others do well. So that's why I chose to run for school board.
Thank you, Ms. Turman. Ms. Grimmett, why should you be elected to the Board of Education?
Hi, thank you for that question. I should be elected to the Board of Education because I am a teacher. So every day I wake up and I go and teach 20 beautiful Black children every day. So because of my experience in the classroom, I know what our kids need. Right now on the school board, our voices are absent. The classroom does not work without the partnership between the teacher, the family, and the student. We don't have any of those voices right now, and our kids are suffering. Because I am a teacher, I know we hear a lot about an academic gap, but it's not really more so an academic gap, but an opportunity gap. And it's because our resources aren't being used the way that they should be. That's why I should be in the school board. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Grimmett. Ms. Chaik, why should you be elected to the Board of Education?
Thank you. Good evening. First, I am a community servant. So Mark 10:45 is a verse in the Bible, and it says, "For the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." And my husband and I, we believe that. That is the core of our faith, that we didn't come to be served, we came to serve. So that is the theology that we live out of, to be servants. Number two is that I'm not bought. No one on our team is bought. And we'll talk about that more, what I mean by that. But we don't have any connections. We have no obligations to anyone, no under-the-table kind of offers. So we are free to make decisions solely based off of our conscience and what we see. And that is vital to being on the school board.
Thank you, Ms. Chaik. Starting with Ms. Grimmett, you have 1 minute to answer. What are your top priorities for the district?
My top priorities for the district are the teachers. Because I am a teacher, I know the struggles that teachers are going through, especially teaching in a community like East St. Louis. Our teachers are overwhelmed with the number of kids they have in our classroom, with the having to do it by themselves without having the aid that they need, without having the resources that they need. Lorenzo was up here earlier talking about providing homes for teachers to live in our community. So again, my top priority are the teachers, because when we take care of our teachers, then our students benefit from that. Thank you.
Ms. Chait, you have 1 minute to answer. What are your top priorities for the district?
Yes. My top priority, number one, is to evaluate. Somebody said it already. We have to know exactly what the problem is before we're going to fix it. So I plan to evaluate every single relationship, way of, the way that people make decisions. We have to evaluate that. My priority currently as a parent, I'm a mom, I have 4 children. I have 1 child in the district currently, and we are not allowed into the building. Which as a parent, that is a huge problem for me. So that is a number 1 priority, is getting our parents back involved. How do you want our engagement when you stop us at the door every morning? So that's a priority. Another one, I would love to create a forum to replace our key communicator meetings, to make those in person, so that we can center the voices of parents, teachers, and youth.
Thank you, Ms. White. Ms. Acock O'Deal, you have 1 minute to answer. What are your top priorities for the district?
Well, my top priority for the district certainly are our children. That is the top priority for our children. I'm making sure that they have all the resources, the training, and that's available to them. And the district does have some fantastic programs and training in place. But a lot of the citizens don't even know that they exist. That's right. Okay, so my top priority is for the children, making certain that they have the resources, that they have the training, and that the programs that are already in place be fully implemented, and that the community is aware of those programs and how to access those programs. Now, the second priority is recruitment, selection, and retention of accredited, credentialed teachers, educators. And it's about not who they know, but what they know.
Ms. Mosley, you have 1 minute to answer. What are your top priorities for the district?
I'm going to piggyback off what Ms. Acock just said. The students are my number 1 priority. I want to make sure that they're able to compete socially and economically with others. I want to make sure that the sources, if they have the sources and tools that needed, that they know they have the tools that's needed, that's in place already. So I'm here to enhance what our school district already has in place.
Thank you, Ms. Mosley. Ms. Turman, 1 minute to answer. What are your top priorities for the district?
We are a team here, so we're going to always agree upon it. That's right. So it's all about the children. We will implement level up classes for the children. We would like to see parent-teacher monthly interaction, because we know if we can get the parents involved with the teachers, then that will bridge the gap. So we need that. We need that for the children. We need internship. We need partnership, programs, and trades.
Thank you, Ms. Turman. Now, starting with Ms. Mosley, you have 2 minutes to answer. How do you plan to engage parents and families in the educational process and create a more collaborative as well as supportive school environment?
I plan to have more than just a monthly parent meetings. I think it should be done at least 2 times out the month, if so, if parents can make it to 1. I plan on while I'm attending my children events, I'm also being hands-on with my parents and involving myself with them hands-on and letting them know the information that they might not be aware of. And hopefully we can bridge this gap.
Thank you, Ms. Mosley. Ms. Akoff Odell, how do you plan to engage parents and families in the educational process and create a more collaborative as well as supportive school environment?
Did we say, I just want to say first, did we say that we were a team? And teamwork makes the dream work. Yeah, okay. It does have an a family engagement specialist. We want to make sure that she does some things to involve the families with the children in the schoolroom setting, outside of the schoolroom setting, provide activities that's conducive and interesting. You know, learning should be fun. Okay, learning should not be drudgery, it should be fun. And so we want to do things like fitness programs that the parents and the students can come together. We want to do things like literacy night where we get together, read, talk, or whatever you want to do. We want to have science nights, healthy meal planning. It's important. Your nutrition is a very important part of your education. So we want to do all of those things for our students. We want them to be well-rounded. And we know being well-rounded means more than reading, writing, and arithmetic. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Akoff Odell. Ms. Turman, how do you plan to engage parents and families in the educational process and create a more collaborative as well as supportive school environment?
Well, as I stated, I have a 9-year-old son. And what I found is what you put in your child is what you're going to get out of your child. So if the parents are not spending that quality time with their child, implementing and encouraging and helping and tutoring and teaching and all of that, if that doesn't happen, then they fail there. So what I feel that we need to do is we need to come together, bring all of our thoughts together, and do this thing together.
Thank you, Ms. Turman. Once again, we are streaming on Facebook Live on United Congregation of the Metro East. Please feel free to share with friends and family. Now, Ms. Grimmett, how do you plan to engage parents and families in the educational process and create a more collaborative as well as supportive school environment?
Thank you. The first step is to talk to our families, talk to our parents, build relationships with our families. As a teacher, that is part of my job, and each family is different. So in order to engage our families, we need to see what they need. They might need mental health services. They might need parenting classes. Not necessarily the other things. So the first step in engaging our families is opening the doors and talking and building those relationships with our families.
Thank you, Ms. Grimmett. Ms. Trike, how do you plan to engage parents and families in the educational process and create a more collaborative as well as supportive school environment?
Yes, so we have to center their voices. So just to bring it down to earth, like I said, parents are not allowed into the building. So with a question about how are we going to engage parents, our leadership does not let parents inside. Okay, so I want to quickly tell, my first year at Vivian Adams was beautiful. Miss Tiffany Brown was the principal. We had a great experience. And during that time, I remember walking my kid to class, and the parent leads would be like, oh, Miss Chike, or at that time they didn't even know me yet. What are you doing right now? We have a meeting at 9:15. Come on in. And I would go, and I met other parents, and we built community, and we did activities together, and it was fun. And we had, we were slowly growing our parent group. How are you going to have parent involvement when you get rid of opportunities like that? And worse, how are you going to say that you care so much about parent involvement and you want it, and you don't make room for that? That comes from the leadership. We can talk about the parents, and we should, and we will, but it first begins with our leadership. You have to create the opportunities for parents to be able to engage in the school and our children.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Chai. Starting with you again, you have 2 minutes to answer. How do you plan on improving the students' test scores and getting them more college ready if they continue school?
Yes, thank you. So, test scores. First, I think you have to ask, why are our scores so low? And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. We all know the challenges that we face within our school district, and we have to think about the whole child. So, it's a tough question, especially when you think about public education and how, if we're being honest, it wasn't even designed for us Black kids. So we have to be honest about that. In thinking about, okay, how can we help our test scores? I think about even what I do in my own home, right? Our kids are distracted by the phones, by the screens. If we're being honest, as parents, it's easy to, let them play with the screens. What would it look like if, from the district, we had a 2-hour screen limit initiative where you inspired the parents to say, okay, for this week, we're not going to get on screen. We're going to maybe have 2 screens because that's what they tell you at the doctor. 2 hours is the limit, whatever. What if you play your games for 2 hours, and then you get off, and then mommy's gonna put her phone down, and for the rest of the time we're gonna be together as a family, and we're gonna try, we're gonna play a game, or we're going to, get outside. So I think it begins with things like that, and then forming other habits. We have to teach our kids to learn to enjoy reading. My kids, my oldest is 8, and then I have a 6-year-old. We make them do their math and reading every day for 20 minutes, every single day. And they hate it, but now it's become a habit. And so they expect, they know that it's coming right after their games before dinner, they get that done, and it's a habit. We can do things like that, and we can start it from our leadership.
Ms. Grimmett, how do you plan on improving the students' test scores and getting them more college ready if they continue school?
There are several solutions. The first solution I want to bring to the table is social-emotional learning. Our kids have gone through the traumas of just being in East St. Louis on top of COVID, and we're not addressing that. I had first graders who became parents, and while they were learning, they were trying to take care of their younger siblings. I had a student who was unable to get on the Chromebook during COVID because his sibling had passed. So he missed a whole year of school because what had happened to his family. He came in the first grade not reading, and we are doing nothing to address that. How are we expecting kids to be on level when they miss a year of school? Not only academically, but socially, emotionally, mentally. They miss a year of being a student and all that comes with it. So we need to address that. That hasn't been addressed. Jen also talked about how our education system was never intended for us to succeed. Again, we talk about an academic gap, but there's an opportunity gap. We are not giving our students what they need to achieve. There are different ways to educate our children, but we keep doing the same education system over and over and expecting different results, and we know that's called insanity. So we need to do different things in order to get different results.
Thank you, Ms. Grimmett. Ms. Turman, you have 2 minutes to answer. How do you plan on improving the students' test scores and getting them more college ready if they continue school?
I want to first start out by saying I wouldn't want to be so critical with what didn't. I would want to focus on the right now. You know, I keep hearing more about failing, but what do we do right now? You know, we can talk, but just move forward. And you move forward with qualified teachers and making sure that those teachers and those principals and those assistant principals are held accountable. Parent involvement, along with pushing the children, embracing them when they have challenges.
Thank you, Ms. Turman. Ms. Mosley, how do you plan on improving the students' test scores and getting them more college ready if they continue school?
My plans are to have more qualified teachers. I feel like if we have those teachers, more qualified teachers in place, then we also have to look at the budget when it comes to that. So therefore, we can replace the particular curriculum and programs that we already have set in order to push our kids to do better.
Thank you, Ms. Mosley. Ms. Akoff-O'Deal, how do you plan on improving the students' test scores and getting them more college ready if they continue school?
Well, the first thing is, we know that all the children are not going to college. Everybody's not going to college, so that's the first thing. So we need to identify what our children's strengths are and what their weaknesses are. We need to identify what they have a proclivity towards and enrich and enhance on those areas. For those students that are going to school, going on to college, we need college prep classes. We need tutors, we need mentors, we need after school programs preparing them to take the SAT and all those tests so that they can get placed in a good college and that the test scores can reflect such. Our students need to be identified as individuals and not just a class of people. You know, you're teaching the class. You need to know that every person in that classroom is an individual. And every individual has different needs. They have different strengths, they have different weaknesses. And whatever those are for the strengths, we want to enhance on those. For the weaknesses, of course, we want to bring those up too. All right.
Thank you, Ms. Akoff-O'Deal. We have questions from the audience. Starting with Ms. Trike, you have 1 minute to answer. Do you have plans to bring back the gifted program, and what steps will you take to achieve this?
Do I have plans to bring back the gifted program, and what plans, sorry?
What steps will you take to achieve this?
So I think that that's necessary. You know, absolutely, we need to bring back a gifted program. Our kids can get lost in the mix, especially after a pandemic. You know, I know Kiana can speak to, you know, regaining the classroom. You can't teach if things are all out of whack, and I think it's easy for us to focus on, you know, kids that are causing problems, and you can get lost in the mix, or kids that are gifted get lost in the mix. And so, you know, it's so important to be able to identify who those children are, so that we can make sure that they're not getting lost and we can get them what they need, because you know, those are the ones that are going to be able to thrive, and we need them to be able to be involved.
Thank you, Ms. Trike. Ms. Grimmett, do you have plans to bring back the gifted program, and what steps do you take to achieve this?
Thank you. I think that the gifted program benefits our students, and that's what our team is about, doing what is beneficial to our students. So if that is something that our children need to help them to help differentiate what is already going on in the curriculum, then we are going to take steps to put that plan in place. We will do this by being transparent with you guys in that process. of the steps to take to implement the program. We want the teachers to be involved and have a voice in how to implement this program. We want the parents to be involved on what this will look like for their students. And we want our students to be involved in how to implement this and what works for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Grimmett. Ms. Turman, do you have plans to bring back the gifted program, and what steps will you take to achieve this?
I really don't have any plans because there's already a gifted program in place.
Thank you, Ms. Turman. Ms. Mosley, do you have plans to bring back the gifted program, and what steps will you take to achieve this?
Since we do have one in place already, I will figure out a way to get it out to the community to let it be known that we do have greater things already in place.
Thank you, Ms. Mosley. Ms. Akoff-Odell, do you have plans to bring back the gifted program, and what steps will you take to achieve this?
Absolutely. And I will take whatever plans that are necessary to help our children. I will become a voice for our children. And first, remember I said you've got to identify the children. First, you have to identify who the children are. And someone said about children making trouble in the classroom. Well, if you have a child that's highly, progress a lot above the other children, then they do become a problem because the things that you're talking about to them, they already know. And they're not so you have to identify those with that potential by testing and the teachers being very attentive to their students and the parents. You know, Ms. Robin Ward, your mother brought the gifted program into the district. And I was a strong advocate for keeping the gifted program in the district.
Thank you, Ms. Akoff-Odell. Start off on Ms. Mosley. How do you plan to quell the dropout rates in our district? You have 2 minutes to answer.
Can you repeat the question, please?
How do you plan to quell the dropout rates in our district?
I would probably, in order to cut down the dropout rate, I would give programs started with the children to see what their interests are. Basically just try to stay on them about a healthy mindset in their education to make sure that they need what they need and make sure nothing at home is going wrong, the reason why they're not wanting to be at school.
Thank you, Ms. Mosley. Ms. Turman, how do you plan to lower the dropout rates in our district?
I think we first need to identify what the problem is, meaning more interaction with those who have that problem, and try to find out their interests and encourage them. You know, we hear so much bad, we need to encourage them to want to do better, because if I'm just walking around thinking failure and nobody is saying anything about it, then I'm going to continue to think that way. So maybe if we start in the schools teaching the children to change the way they think, because if you change the way you think, you can change your situation. So we need to be a liaison for those, you know, who are failing. You know, we know that they're failing before they drop out because of the failure, because of the failure rate. So get active with them. Find out what the problem is and meet the problem, meet that need.
Thank you, Ms. Turman. Ms. Akoff-Odell, how do you plan to lower the dropout rates in our district?
Again, I think the key is identify. I don't think most children want to drop out. They drop out sometimes through necessity. We need to find out what's going on in their life situation, what life experiences, the experiences they are going through, and then try to alleviate, take away those issues and encourage them to continue their education. They need to have role models, positive role models in their lives, in the schools, in their churches, in their homes, in the community. We need total community involvement. When we see our children about to drop out, we need to do something to get to those kids and try to encourage them to stay.
Thank you, Ms. Acoff-O'Deal. Ms. Grimmett, how do you plan to lower the dropout rates in our district?
I think, or I know, to lower the dropout rates in the schools, you have to make schools a place where kids want to be at. As a teacher, we're taught to help attendance rates go up. You need to have those relationships with those parents where you can call a parent and say, hey, I noticed so-and-so isn't here today, I'm just checking on them. So building that relationship with the families is essential. And that goes back to what I said earlier, just talking to our families and seeing what they need. You're right, some kids have to leave out of necessity. What can we do as a school to alleviate those problems? Can we offer job services? Can we offer mental health services? What can we do as a school to address those needs that our kids have to help decrease the reasons why they're dropping out of school? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Grimmett. Ms. Chai, how do you plan to lower the dropout rates in our district?
Yes, I think that this question goes back to the youth programming that especially Paris was talking about, and that's why it's going to be so important for us to have a real working relationship with our city, because that's where a lot of our youth programs are going to come from. I also want to add that a woman at one of the school board meetings brought to the board an opportunity for what she called a breakthrough school. And this would have been an opportunity for students that, you know, we're all different. It's a 9 to 3 isn't going to work for everyone. And her school had the promise to be able to individually meet the needs of different kids who learn differently. And, you know, in our community, that's a huge need. And I was there when she made the presentation and it was rejected. So, you know, if we really care about the dropout, you know, rate and decreasing that, we should listen to opportunities like that, because a school like that meets a need. If X amount of kids aren't thriving with the way that the, you know, programming is that we have now, then we need to look for other opportunities. So, you know, opportunities like that, and then youth programming. There's so many different things that we can do. I was looking up Jason Wilson. I don't know if you all are familiar, but he comes in and he meets with young men and he teaches them through martial arts, you know, how to channel their aggression. And, you know, I just think, man, what could it look like if the district, you know, had him come down, we made it a whole big thing. How could that inspire, you know, our men to, you know, see themselves in him and to want a better future for themselves? You know, we can get creative with the opportunities that we have and put before the youth. It's just going to take fresh ideas.
Thank you, Ms. Chai. Now, starting with Ms. Acoff-O'Deal, you have 2 minutes to answer. What is your plan to address illiteracy amongst the youth?
Well, our team's plan, and we work together as a team along with the city officials, is to provide tutoring, outside tutoring for the students, after school programs that's geared towards math and reading, writing, and arithmetic, those basic things. We plan to, actually, as a board member, I think that we should even be involved personally in not just the administration of what the board does, but actually in getting out, having hands-on with the students, you know, into the schools and seeing what their needs are and trying to fulfill those needs in any ways that we might be able to do so.
Thank you, Ms. Akoff O'Neill. Ms. Mosley, what is your plan to address illiteracy amongst the youth?
My plans is to keep the children more involved and to keep them updated on things that they're not aware of. Basically, try more hands-on with the children.
Thank you, Ms. Mosley. Ms. Turman, what is your plan to address illiteracy amongst the youth?
Lifestyle lesson, increased health classes, teaching on everyday life and tweaking those things into the class for our culture. And that's what our children are facing.
Thank you, Ms. Turman. Ms. Grimmett, what is your plan to address illiteracy amongst the youth?
My plan to address the literacy among the youth is to start while they're young. The child's brain grows the most between ages from birth to 5. So I really want to look at the way we are educating our youngest children because that's where it really starts. Along with that, what curriculum are we using? How are we teaching our kids? If the curriculum is not giving the results that we want, then maybe we should look at the curriculum and think about how we can not only the curriculum, but how we are educating our students. Our students, back to SEL, back to social emotional learning, are our students ready to receive the information that we are giving them? Are our students reflected in the curriculum that we are teaching them? Are they reflected in the books that they are reading? Are they reflected in their experiences? These are all things that I know personally from experience, that I know because of research helps increase literacy rates. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Grimmett. Ms. Chaik, what is your plan to address illiteracy amongst the youth?
Yes. Well, that's the benefit of having a teacher, right? That's what she does. So thankful for you. An idea, obviously, that's such an important question, right? We need our kids to be confident readers. And we all, I'm sure, are familiar with the statistic about if not enough kids, or depending on how many kids can read by 3rd grade is what determines the amount of prisons built. So we know how important that is. So, some ideas, smaller class sizes, before they used to have parent aides come in because we know that there's a teacher shortage. Our teachers are tired, right? But what could it look like if we got parents involved in that way? They serve as aides. They're invested, they want their kids to do well. What if we got them involved? We have to teach them a love of reading. My kids they would much, rather be on the screens, right? So I face that daily. How can I teach them to learn to love, reading or get them to pick up a book? Is there something that interests them? But again, it's the daily habit. I think we need to get with our parents and help them see the value of reading. And, is that something that they can do together? They can pick up a book together, but we have to understand the importance of teaching our kids how to read. I mean, it's going to govern a lot of what they do in the future. So, very important question, and it's vital that we have a plan for that.
Thank you, Ms. Chaik. Our next question has been asked and will be read by Donald, a 3rd grader at Katie Wright.
Oh, okay.
We get our recess taken on a daily, we get our, for talking during lunch in the hallway waiting for lunch or recess. When this happens, we have to sit our heads down the entire recess. Governor, what is it? Pritzker made a law mandating 30 minutes of active recess every day. What is your plan to actually make the schools follow the law? And will you enact?
Will you enact a policy detailing alternative consequences like schoolyard cleanup during recess, running laps, or even writing a paragraph or essay detailing what we did wrong and what we can do better next time?
I'll repeat the question again. Okay. We get our recess taken on a daily basis for talking during lunch or in the hallway for waiting for lunch or recess. When this happens, we have to sit with our heads down the entire recess. Governor Pritzker made a law mandating 30 minutes of active recess every day. What is your plan to actually make the schools follow the law? And will you enact a policy detailing alternative consequences like schoolyard cleanup during recess, run laps, or even write a paragraph essay detailing what we did wrong and what we can do better next time? You have 2 minutes to answer. Starting from, Ms. Chait.
Thank you. Well done. That's a very specific question and good. I want to think about it. I think discipline is difficult for a lot of teachers. When things are disruptive, I'm thinking even as a parent, when my kids do something wrong, it's easy to just, take away a tablet or to go sit down, go to your room, right? It's easy to do those things. So I can understand the temptation to want to just take away recess. I think that it's good that the governor mandates that. Especially young kids, they have so much energy and it's important for them to get that out. So I would want to think about how we would implement that specifically without taking that privilege away. I like what was stated there. Maybe they run laps, maybe they do push-ups. There's a lot of lessons even with that, that they learn something. They're disciplined, but in a different way, right? Things don't always have to be punitive. You can restore a kid by teaching a lesson. So that's a great question, and I'm thankful for Governor Pritzker for that.
Okay, Ms. Grimmick, you have 1 minute. I'm sorry, I meant to say 1 minute for this question. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, you guys absolutely need your recess. I'm a student myself and I need recess from whenever I'm in school. So yes, absolutely. I think a part of adopting that policy also is educating our teachers in different ways. Like Jen alluded to, as a parent, as a teacher, that's probably how some of us were taught. We miss our recess whenever we do something wrong. So we need to unlearn those practices and learn new practices. Social emotional learning. Does taking away recess actually address the problem? Probably not. So going back to the root of the problem to then help our kids become better adults because they learn to self-regulate and things like that. Thank you.
1 minute for this question as well.
I totally agree with Ms. Chikes because like I said, I have a 9-year-old myself. And sometimes he he gets a little out of hand, so what I do with him is I take away his cell phone or the PS5 and all those things that they have. And I tell him you can't get it until you correct what you did wrong. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I believe in disciplining the child, but I don't believe in taking away their recess, giving them that time to move out and, you know, breathe, just to breathe. So no, I don't agree with taking it away, but I do believe that they should be disciplined for their actions.
Thank you, Ms. Turner. Ms. Mosley?
I believe that the teachers and the principals should be held accountable because students need the recess time for their mental. If it's taken away, then it won't help a child. It won't help a child develop what they need because their recess time is very important just as well as their education time.
Thank you, Ms. Mosley. Ms. Acom, ODO.
First of all, if the governor mandated it, and it's a law, it's mandated. And if the teachers don't allow them to exercise that, then the teachers are breaking the law. They're breaking the law and they're hurting our children. Our children have all this excess energy that need to be, they cannot be just confined in a setting for 6-8 hours a day without the ability to get up and move around. Like you said, you are a student, so you know how important it is. So if the teachers are doing that, then we don't need the punishment for the students. We need the punishment for the teachers.
Thank you, Ms. Akoff. That was our last question. We understand we have a lot of questions left, so we will work with every candidate to get those answered by the election. Thank you all for your participation and attendance.
We'll hand it back over to our host now.
Thanks everyone again. We have a couple announcements, so we'll try to get you out here a little early.
We want to call We Power.
All right, hello, beautiful people. My name is Kodal, and I am the Economic Justice Organizer for We Power. I did walk around earlier and handed folks a couple of pledge cards, but if you didn't catch me, or if I didn't catch you, catch us outside at the table with free snacks and pledge cards. So the pledge cards are basically sign in support for a community benefits agreement law to be established in East St. Louis. For those who are not familiar, community benefits agreements are contracts between developers and residents to make sure that when developments come into your communities, that they're giving you benefits. Hiring from your communities, developing workforces in your communities, creating green spaces, contributing to transportation, whatever the case may be, you can negotiate those things later. But ultimately, we want to make sure that people are not getting pushed out of their communities just because we want to see development. I grew up in the Bronx and Harlem, and I'm seeing Harlem completely be turned around and my community be pushed out because of it. And I don't want that to happen to folks in East St. Louis or folks in St. Louis.